Hey everybody, it's Ken McElroy here, and I've got my good friend Tarl Yarber. What's going on, Tarl?
What's up, Kenny?
Let's jump right in. You know, the Fed's obviously increased rates 3/4 of a point. What do you see and what are you seeing? And what are you doing in your business?
Because I personally am actually selling my primary residence and buying a new residence currently and seeing just the disparaging of different interest rates I'm getting over the last 60 days that I've been going through this process. And if we didn't lock rates in at a certain time versus what they are now, they're rapidly changing almost, it seems like every day. And, we have a primary home in Issaquah, Washington that, when we refinance like everybody else, we're in the, some people were in the high twos and low threes over the last couple of years. And now I'm getting quoted out for jumbo loans at, all the way up into the fives. And we have some local community banks in the area we're going to that can get us to the low fours. But I think it's just destroying people's buying powers, or at least what they think their buying power, which we're also that even on the houses that were where you see multiple offers and tons of showings, they're starting to reduce. But I think that's part of people having a fear and pulling back a little bit to see what happens in the market more than anything. Is you have buyers not wanting to buy at the height of a market, but they don't know enough to know if it is the height of the market or not because rates are going so high. So there's created this hesitation.
Most people do think about the interest rate, but really they're thinking about how much can they afford in their
what's
budget,
their monthly payment?
Right?
Yeah.
So is that must be going on right now, huh?
It is. It's going on quite a bit. So even for us where we are, if we sold our house and let's call it for $1 million in our neighborhood, then at that point, if we want to laterally move to a similar home, or maybe want to upgrade a little bit to a better home, you can't find another one of my houses for the same price. To get a similar house, right? I'm going to buy another $1 million to $1.4 million home. And I also have a higher interest rate. So if I'm at a 3% right now interest rate, because I refinanced or something over the last couple of years, I'm going to sell my home. Sure, I'm going to scoop all that equity out that a lot of people have built up over the last 2 years. But I'm going to have to put it right back into the next house, but have a higher payment even just because my rates jumped another almost 2 points, depending on where you're at, including another couple $100,000 extra in purchase price. So my payment might go from $4,000 a month to $7,000 a month that quick to get not that much better of a house, depending on where you're at. And that's a big number just because some people might live in areas where homes are 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. But in the Seattle market, the median home price in King County is almost right around $1 million.
In a normal housing market where you can, upgrade over time, and that's such a big difference in the payment. It's gonna reduce the number of listings, I would guess, and it's also it's gonna keep people in place, so it's gonna reduce the migration because they probably have to move out of the area, right? Right, and find a cheaper area.
Yeah, and some of those cheaper areas aren't becoming cheaper. So maybe you're moving from a better location to a worse location just because of affordability purposes. Also, there's some people that are selling their homes, scooping that equity, and then maybe they're going to go rent and go see what the market does too, which I think that might also not be the best play, depending on what your beliefs are, what's going to happen in the market.
Well, the rental market's going out of control too. I mean, we had, anywhere from 10 to 30% rental growth last year as well in some markets, and that's not good for anyone. It's kind of like the housing, right?
The rates that are affecting people the most right now, in my opinion, are the average real estate investor, right? That's out there buying single family homes that we're maybe doing something that I love to do called the BRRRR strategy: buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And they bought thinking maybe they're going to get like a 4% or 4.5% interest rate on their takeout financing, which is they buy a crappy property, fix it up, and then they go to refinance it and put a tenant in it. They might have done their pro forma at a 4 to 4.5% interest rate with maybe a DSCR lender, like a debt service coverage ratio lender, somebody that's looking at the property and not the investor. And they're thinking to get a 4.5% interest rate. But right now, most of those DSCR lenders are all the way up in a 5.5 to 6.5% rate now. And that's killing their cash flow.
I know we're putting on an event together in Scottsdale in June 9th, 10th, and 11th called LImitless. It's LImitlessExpo.com. We're going to talk a little bit about this, I think, and we've got 40 speakers or something. And let's jump into the next hot topic, which is I'm watching these big funds, and they're hiring these agents in some of these local markets, and essentially just paying all cash. And you kind of mentioned it. So what is that doing to the local agents, to the fix and flippers, the mom and pops, just people that are just trying to like do the burr strategy, I mean, what is it? It seems like it's just ripping inventory away from them.
When it comes to these large funds and institutional buyers, I have nothing against them per se, right? But what I have more against are actually the agents and wholesalers and other investors that sell all their portfolios to the funds, or a wholesaler, which is somebody that ties up a property off market and then sells it for a fee, like an assignment fee. I know a number of wholesalers that are in hot markets that all they do is source properties for funds. And why are they selling the property to the fund and not another investor like themselves? Is because the fund's paying more. And so a property that maybe they tie up for 90 grand in St. Louis, they can sell to a local investor for 100 and they'll make 10 grand. But for whatever reason, Open Door or whoever will buy it for 110, right, instead of 100. And they're like, I'll make 10 more grand. I'll double my profit if I'm selling to these guys. And they're dumb. Look at them buying these properties for so much more than the local investors will. And I ask these guys all the time, I'm like, if every fund that you're selling to is buying over asking and a normal local investor is not doing that, have you ever asked yourself why that is, right? Do you think that these guys that have raised billions in capital are just doing it because they feel like it, right? There's a reason why they're buying up these tranches of single family homes in all these markets so much more than what maybe a local investor is going to buy it for.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like that actually was a big part of the reason we had this run up in pricing? Like, let's just go back for the last 24 months.
Because of the funds?
Yeah, because them overpaying.
I wouldn't say that that's the only reason, like for sure. I mean, like there's investors like myself that have definitely benefited from the run up and stuff, but I think it's just a supply issue. It goes back to that. I mean, it goes back to a true supply demand issue and massive demand because of interest rates being so low. And then the supply being so low as well, right? So massive demand with very low supply, just basic economics is going to run up pricing, especially in specific markets. And I think that's been a huge factor of it. There's certain markets out there where there's plenty of like off-market properties to go get and so forth, but the local investors, we think too short term. Most house flippers like myself, I'm preaching to myself here, right? 6 months, that's what we think about, right? We think 6 months or less, right? And you asked me to think 12 months out or 10 years out in real estate, and be like, nah, nobody's gonna be alive then. Like, it's like, this is my chance. Like, I have 6 months. So if we're only looking at a 6-month window on comps, comparables, the real estate market and so forth, yes, we're only going to see that house as $100,000 house because we're thinking we could flip it really fast and we want to make a certain return, 10, 15%. The fund that's buying it and thinking 10, 15 years out, right? They don't really care, right? They look at it going like, hey, it fits our this specific model that's in their proprietary software, whatever the hell they got. That says, okay, well, 10, 15 years out, we're good to go. So yeah, we'll pay 110 for that $100,000 house because they're thinking longer term. And any market that's cyclical in this, even what happened in the 80s with interest rate and so forth, like markets go back up in real estate. Real estate is something that might crash in the short run, but in the long run, typically always pans out. I've had to work on that thinking quite a bit.
Yeah.
And biggest regret for years always is, I sold any of my houses, right?
Yeah.
So
it's true.
Hundreds of properties, right? I'd be a big boy like you if I had kept all those properties. But truth is I didn't, right? So made a lot of money selling them for cash, right? And we played a lot, we traveled a lot, we enjoy a great lifestyle, and we own some assets, right? But we can have a lot more if we kept them. But the reason why we didn't is because we thought 6 months, right? We didn't think longer than that. So, and I think today, the average investor needs to start thinking long-term and start changing our mentality with that when we're getting into it. Flipping houses is great. Cool. You can make some cash, but long-term from now, you're going to regret that. And what can you do to be able to keep that property long-term is really, especially the way the economy is going, America's going, rents are going, everything's going. It's not going to be a good time for some people in the next few years. I don't know.
It's hard. It's confusing, but that's why we're doing this summit, guys. And I know we keep plugging this thing, but LimitlessExpo.com. Take a look at it. You're going to see we're almost sold out, right?
Yep, we're close to it. So ticket prices are going up. So that's one way we stem the curve. But like if you guys check out the website, go to www.limitlessexpo.com. You'll see whatever the newest ticket price is currently. And ticket prices will keep going up. We are selling out. It'll be an awesome event. We'll have close to, probably 1,200 to 1,300 people there. And we have full stages. We have a lot of money going to charity. We have lots of exhibitors. We got parties. This is the time. The speakers there's no green room. There's no like place for them to disappear. Like all these experts are in the field with you guys, so you can talk to them as well. And
it's going to be fun to listen to everybody's perspective. And the best part is it's not all going to be the same. Like there's going to be a lot of, is it inflation or deflation? Like George Gammon's going to be fascinating. He's speaking there too. And, I can't wait to hear that talk. Well, Taro, it's always awesome, man. Thanks. And can't wait to see you soon, dude.
Can't wait to see you. See you in a month. Buy your tickets.